11. The Christ chords, as I have come to call it. 11:11 is something that many of you are seeing. It's something that many of you are having appear in your life. And for many, it is a topic of confusion, for they have not, on one side, reached the space where you are synchronizing with the source code and its codes of manifestation and prayer. And on the other side, you are told by pastors and preachers who do not live the mystic state of consciousness that it's a negative thing, that it's not of Christ. And for others, they get caught in the trap where this spiritual sign, these synchronistic, which means meaningful coincidence, occurrences go on. And as they have not gone into the awareness of the inner work, the hardware of the fallen mind grabs even the signs from our Creator to pull us into our full spiritual power and rebirth, and begins to build an identity out of it. And so we have those who are caught in an identity based on a spiritual sign. We have others who have no idea why it's happening. We have others who surrender and accept it's there and just continue. And yet, I say here, when it began to show up in my own life, I did not understand. But 12 years later, I do. I worked out how to harmonically attune to the origin of it and what it is trying to guide the human life into. I have results as this human organism and the awareness within it speaking that show that it has a Christic intention. We have built a solution for special needs children living in the most horrendous of crises out in East Africa. We are building a solution that will put us on the world map as an opportunity to repeat what we are doing across the world. We have a family of hundreds of children, all of which had nobody to care for them and now do. We have a dog rescue shelter, which are also our children. All of this came off the back, initially, of following this Christ code, this 11:11. I'm going to speak into the code and why it's significant. I'm also going to speak into why the fallen part of consciousness within the human story taunt the Creator, they taunt Christ with this code, with this number. And I'm going, with the most importance of it all, to share how we must yield ourselves into its flow. It is merely an extension of Christ, trying to get the attention of its children, of its servants. 11 is a pyramid number. That means that it is a building block of our reality. What I mean by a pyramid number is that if you times 11 by 11, you will get 1, 2, 1. And if you times 111 by 111, you will get 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. If you times 1,111 by it, you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is a pyramid number. When it is multiplied by itself, it is a building block of the source code program of the reality in which we are having our existence. A reality that is not purely original, and that has been shown throughout the ages by talk of the fallen world and the fallen existence, for it is a building block, meaning that the fabric of your reality, the geometry, the math, the vibration, which we all are ultimately, it is super field of vibration, one material vibrating at different frequencies. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Frequency is the foundation of our existence. The ability for man to build, to bring into this dimension the Christ power is present, and when we are opening doors, gateways of change in this world, Creator is most pleased when their children are playing. Even here in the UK, where I am currently visiting family, there is quite a famous YouTube pair called Woody and Kleiny, and all around their home they have 1111 painted on the wall in different places. Their divine mission is to bring joy and laughter to people's lives, and they are showing up in their expansion of what they are creating and doing. This code is there for each of us performing our own work to elevate the fallen frequency of suffering that many are within. A little joy and laughter can go a very long way. In the life that I am facing, I have had an unfortunate year where I have had to deal daily with the very dark side of our reality. I have had to do so as that is where I was called, to help these children who are facing terrible hardship. Some of the worst suffering in the world is taking place in the lives of special needs children in countries like Tanzania. On top of that, however, in a country like Tanzania, there are sadly men and women who are so dark that they call not on the Christ codes but on the fallen codes, you can say. When you say the word code, look at it this way, that we have the ability to write programs into our reality. When Yeshua walked the earth, the codes of sickness that he encountered, he deleted and wrote over them with health. These are the codes of high frequency, the lower codes of struggle and pain and suffering. If they are deleted by a representative of Creator in human form, clearly they are not the will of the Creator, they are the will of the fallen. Those children are sometimes sadly sacrificed in Tanzania for being disabled. This year I brought a child into our care through the love and compassion of a high-ranking politician who knew where he was. That child was very sick and sadly he passed away. The politician had a very real concern, and we had to do a lot of work to ensure that no one thought that he had sacrificed his child. We had to visit family and explain everything, for so prevalent is this problem of child sacrifice of innocent special needs children. When I was first seeing 1111, at first I didn't understand where it was coming from. Eventually, on the 11th of November 2011, so this date of all 11s, I decided I would fast, drinking only water day and night, and not consuming any food for 11 days. During that fast, I saw a video as I was watching wildlife documentaries of children in East Africa with polio suffering terribly, and I yelled out in my tears as I was fasting and so moved by what was going on. Someone should do something, and a clear audible voice appeared in the room where I was and said, "You are someone." I looked for the organization. I applied to volunteer with them, and I found an organization that has a similar name but was not them. I applied to this organization thinking it was the one I had seen in the YouTube video, and when I made that this non-government organisation based in Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, asking me to come and help them with a project for clean water for the Maasai tribe. I followed that blindly, and I knew that it had shown us that something who I was, this human organism who was having an ever-fading personal history-based identity as this was going on. I followed, and I left my entire life behind, believing that Christ was calling me for these signs and supernatural events. And I arrived in Tanzania. Where I arrived, there was a corrupt NGO place. They were stealing money, they were not doing anything positive. And I thought that I was lying. Why would I come here? Of course, it's not working out. 6 months later, I got rid of everybody, and I inherited that NGO. And where that little office was, that little building in the middle of nowhere in the bush of Kilimanjaro, Tanzania, there is now a village where hundreds of special needs children who desperately needed a safe, loving family home live. I was led to that location by signs and synchronicities from the Christ Bible a doorway of Christ's manifestation of power was being revealed. This journey of 11 has continued. When great changes are coming that are positive, it appears, and we have a phenomenal comfort when it does. For we know the Christ Lord is speaking, and a great, ever-present longevity of change is going to be born of some action that is taking place. As an example, a very wonderful human being called Christian in the US is supporting us to build the new children's village. It's the world's biggest of its kind, a special needs children's village for children living in crisis and turmoil. He sent me a screenshot of the transfer saying, I have sent this sum of money to help with the construction. And immediately my intuition fired up and I wrote him back and said, where in the world are you? And he told me exactly which state he was in, and I responded and said, so it is 11:11 where you are when you sent me this message. And his mind was blown, and I know it's just evidence that the body of Christ, that intention of higher love, is together, is working its way through into manifestation in one vision. It desperately needs it, and it's one vision. So here I come to, I will speak into the negative element of this, and then I will speak into how we must harmonically tune in a life free of the pull and the restriction of what has become a commonly held word with sin, the missing of the mark, the abuse of the gift of eternal energy that we all can draw into our lives, being spent on temporary pursuit of the comfortable prison cell of worldly desire. I will share how we attune and find this Christ code system being born in our lives, how we synchronize. But before I do, let me share this. There is an enemy to the love of Christ. It has commonly been pointed at with the term sin. But I am big on words. It's an interesting thing that here I am on this beautiful stretch of coast where I grew up. And this very morning I said to Fritzy, who was my wife, I said, you know, as a child, I didn't see it. I saw the name of the village along the road here, but I didn't see the beauty. I merely saw the name. I saw the word. And this is so true. If you teach a child the word ocean, they will look at it and never connect and unite with it. They will just see the word ocean and move their attention elsewhere, normally into distraction and entertainment and pleasure. And so When somebody shares a word with you, you need to be certain that you are being very aware that that word is not arriving in your brain, and your brain is throwing up an image, and you see that image. For that word coming from another human's mouth may be pointing at something different to the image that your brain is throwing up, as we have different software programs within us. But commonly, Christ and Satan is a term we understand as the opposition to the expansion of love and compassion in this world, the selfishness, the deception, the lies, in opposition to truth. Truth is a potent and powerful thing, and many don't understand what truth is. When you betray reality, when you challenge reality, you challenge the Creator, and therefore when you deceive and you lie, you misrepresent God. You are a part of this movement inside the heart of Creator. And when you take thought in the gift of it, and you manipulate another's thoughts away from reality, you betray it and you betray God. This is a very dangerous thing that we do. The enemy has worked out that in betraying and deceiving, that they can gain some headway, some ground over those who stand rigid in truth, or over those who sit between the fence, who are happy to lie and also understand the value of truth, and are still okay to betray reality at times. Rigid, fearless opposition to deception, rigid, fearless anchoredness in truth is awaited. The ability to betray reality is absent in that spiritually reborn state. And so the enemy who is caught in this space of misrepresenting reality is completely opposed to the source code, to the Christ codes as well. When you therefore look at both events, the enemy, the fallen ones, the fallen angels, they have analysed the source code, the Christ, for millennia, and they have worked out fragments, bits and pieces, and they have conglomerated it all together to become very powerful, deeply powerful. But what they have done is they have begun to hijack and hack the program code of reality. And therefore, when you look around at the system that we live within, organized, meticulous deception is everlasting. And where isn't it? Where are those who are urging deception and lies as a virtue? And where are their systems that are in place? If you look at topics such as the World War armistice was called on the 11th day of the 11th month. This is a time of great sacred significance, a building block of the source code. And in Europe, where every village and every town and every city has an obelisk, which is a structure that is born of Egyptian culture, the same masters are playing the game inside human society throughout all of this millennium. The obelisk is a granite pillar. We use them to remember the war dead. And so on the 11th minute of the 11th hour, the nation gets together in front of these obelisks and amidst this very heavy sorrow. And here we are trying to elevate through the higher frequencies of Christ and love and forgiveness, and we are sending into the energy grid of the world itself this heavy, somber, dark, in a sense, grieving energy. And it's not that you should not give thanks for those who have passed, but surely it's okay for us to start standing in the space of we don't want war, we don't want to glorify our heroes, and to say to a child, to glorify the only way you can be a hero is to go to war. Can't we glorify a different type of hero, Christic heroes, those who stand against against war, those who refuse to go into the duality of that violence. This is very valid, and it does not stand against anyone who is serving in the armed forces. But if we want to see an end to war, a day must come where we stop fighting. This is a reality. A day must come where you follow what Jesus told. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Meaning, you can't choose a side anymore. You must stand with compassion, and let that expanded compassion animate your intelligence, and that will not allow for war to be animated. It won't allow for violence to be animated on an individual basis. These days, however hard it is to swallow, are not accidental. They are chosen. Last year, I pointed out on the approach to September 11th that during the 2011 barrage of natural disasters, I realized that the code was being taunted, and I publicly predicted the tsunami of Japan, but I did not know where it would be. I just knew from following this code of taunting that they were using that on the 11th of April 2011 there would be a natural disaster of mass proportions. And it wasn't only that day. Christchurch September 11th is no different. The Twin Towers had 110 floors. The 111th floor became ground zero. The flight that was hitting the top flight level, it happened on 9/11, which is 111 days before the end of the year. The first term of the World War, which this deceptive organized force who meticulously deceived to get what they want, on September 11th, 11 years before 9/11, with George Bush Sr. These topics, the Pentagon, the soils were broken to build the Pentagon on September 11th. Forget which year. JFK signed Executive Order 1110, if I'm not wrong, or it may be 0111. He did so to try and bypass the Federal Reserve, which is a structure that the elitists rely upon to steer us towards where they wish us to be, the elitists who are influenced by the following. On the 22nd of November later that year, JFK was assassinated. These are not coincidental. This is a taunt of the source code of the Christ code. It is a way to taunt the Creator and say we understand the fabric of the workings of the reality, and we will flaunt in your face that we have the power to derail the planet. And so the Christ codes have great easily say, keep your heart open and share. But sometimes for many people this is even a topic they don't understand. For we don't investigate what it is to share. We don't investigate what is meant by that. If you slow down in the space where you are in the high frequency, you are in that flow of synchronized loving manifestation, you will recognize that as this is taking place, there is very little structure of thought to be challenging. There's very little self-reflection of a personal history, a personal self, determining which way your life should go. Ultimately, you are following a connection to the living God, the Christ here and now. And of the one you are going round, you are going right. And this is key. Perfect love casts out fear, it says in the scripture. Many don't understand this, that there is a way to live without any fear, not with courage, not with bravery, but without fear coming forward, where you just flow in this love and praise. And there is the sweet spot. There is where Christ manifests. There is where images for children who are starving, tired, and being sacrificed are built and born. The space where your action and your decision making are one. The space where there is no decision maker. It is one flowing movement from source code programming suggesting to your vessel what to do and the vessel doing it. There is no sound interfering and grabbing that guidance and saying, I'll go that way, or should I do that? That's not there. It is a unified flow. And you have the connection to them. For it is there that has grown your body from child till man, that has grown your hair today. But you are not aware of that connection as you are so caught, most of us, in thought. We're so caught in thought as the driver, as the master, that the walk of faith is exchanged for the walk by sight. And so we don't know what is where decision and action is born. There's no distinction. Your mother and your father, your brother and your sister, you cannot be my disciple. This has been toiled upon endlessly, but in reality it's clear what he is sharing here. You're not to hate people, but what you are to do is to open that connection here now with the living God, with Christ. And when it comes forward, decision and action are one, it is allowed to animate the intelligence and movement of your body. If the image interferes of a father, of a son, of a brother, or whatever it may be for you, if that image interferes and says, I feel the Creator's will, action and decision as one movement coming forward, however, let me stop that so I can analyze it and I can think it through, and I can input data from the image of self as like a father or a son, then that data will disconnect you from the connection to where the Christ goes. The mind interferes with the faith-based walk, which is the elevated Christ state of manifestation of prayer. And therefore,
every child should start a new cycle. Mom, Dad, so long. Thanks for all the fish.
is for the glory and the goodness of God's love in this world. Service to one another in whatever form it may take, be it spreading love and laughter and joy, or be it a little more heavy and intense as it has been in my life, dealing with the problems that these children face and building solutions for them to keep them safe. All of that is built from that expanded space of Christ's love. It is not built from the ideas of spiritual rebirth, the ideas of love. It comes from unification with the Creator in His love, and that comes when there is no thought. Where there is no thought, there is a connection to our Creator. Where there is no thought, and you still insist in taking as much energy as you can just to satiate 5 cents pleasure or whatever you're wanting or chasing, etc., your frequency is going to be as such that in that no thought state you might attract the wrong chords. You may attract the fallen, and you see this with people who leave, for instance, New Age communities and say, I was attacked by demons. Yes, because you were living in sin and elevating to a spiritual dimension, and that which you matched in a frequency sense was not of the angelic crystal. And so it comes as you live in this space, this power, and just over-consumption of the energy that is finite around you to pursue nothing but a sensation. You are out of alignment with the Christ. And so when you elevated into the space with no thought, you met with the wrong spiritual force. The same force that is in its own role somewhere inside the dimensions of oppression, playing out its game, for instance, of taunting the source code. The Christ codes of 1111 are accessible by all men. You must learn to fast. You must learn to pray. You must learn to put aside selfish desire. You must learn to not betray reality and anchor yourself rigidly in truth. You must learn to never be tempted by your fallen nature to take the shortcut of bending reality to strategize against other human beings. You must stay rigid in truth and have faith that in that place you are so anchored in the power of Christ's power, Christ's love and presence and truth, that that power will manifest through you. So, 1111, it's a Christ call. It's not to be worshipped. You're not to build an identity out of it. You are to know when it shows up that something of great importance and change is about to take place, and the source code is resonating with you of all of creation, and in that resonance will guide you to works that are christening you, even if on the face of it you don't realize that you are serving Christ. Be it that you're making people giggle and laugh, for example, you're still serving Christ, and it's necessary that those sorrowful people are taking some light from what you are doing. In the instance of this human organism, it was something quite traumatic. Build a village for special needs children who suffer in ways that are unimaginable. And it will not all be peaceful and loving. In my life, I have suffered for my efforts. My health has been a huge problem. People have tried to kill me this year, unbelievably. But nothing else will do.
Well, John Julian. 1111. You see an 1111, so you see a preponderance of numbers. What we dismiss as coincidence is really a proactive disconnection from the possibility of wonder. What we can't capture it, put it in a tiny little box and examine it with our monocles, shake it about, weigh it, chart it, class, kingdom, phylum, and all of that reductionist stuff, which is okay. Well, juice is a bit of a reduction, is it not? So if you see the 11s, and if you're wondering if these little breadcrumb moments and these little things that you sort of set aside, kind of weird, anomalous, but they don't quite say anything bold. They haven't vetted what would Snopes think. If you're worried about what Snopes would think. Yeah. Well, there's a hypothesis about the Titanic is going to sink on its maiden voyage. Just a hypothesis. Oh, going first class. And Martha's going to wear her fox. But there's a hypothesis it's going to sink on its maiden voyage. Oh, poppycock, balderdash, bloody blah. And, well, the hypothesis might be based on a number, or any number, if you will, of circumstantial bits, of things that don't prove anything conclusively on their own, but when you put them together, why they're there to be put together to begin with, because you haven't dismissed these little moments or anomalous little things as coincidence, which is to disconnect from wonder, for which is to basically, if we really knew how this all worked, like really knew and understood all this, well, it would probably melt our little brains in some sense. Turn it off! It's like, but come on, everybody knows you don't defrost butter that way. There's only so much the butter can take. But if everyone really knew and understood how everything is, as it was, as it may yet be, the is of the moment, well, there'd be far more than we can take. So we reduce and reduce and reduce, and we keep our field of vision, we keep our desk uncluttered, and we... So if all the bits and pieces and bobs of information that were, if they were just put at least in the same table together, that might speak to an ongoing hypothesis for which there was at least some potential evidence to support it. You might not buy the ticket for that ride. But if you want your answer conclusively put in a tidy little box that might say Mer Monday or Tea for Tuesday and so forth. These are the days of the week starring Mojo and Rocco. For which to put in your little pills, your little pharmaceutical little tablets, things of varied colors. For what in specific terms ails you? If you were to wait for that hypothesis of that maiden voyage of the Titanic to come to you in a tidy little box, well, it wouldn't be the box you'd be buried in. if you were so lucky to be buried. So, for all the little moments and all the little breadcrumbs and all the little things and the insights and the hints and the things and that nagged you along the way of your life, however long you've lived, you know. For all those times you listened to your gut instincts and were thankful. And for those times, too, when you didn't listen to your gut instincts and weren't so thankful at all. For all of those moments in your own lives, in the tapestry of your own journey, we come into this place and we're all on probation. We're all too self-conscious. Too few of us are not enough, at least self-aware. Become self-aware. And listen to your gut. And if there's 30 frames in a second, you can slow one of those frames down just for a moment. Make a space in between one of those frames. And then stretch it. And then ask your Heavenly Father if He'll join you. Be available. And He may just very well join you there. Buckle up. This roller coaster we're about to get on may not have bathroom breaks. So come on, kids. Everybody use the washroom. Let's get this vacation on the road. We're not stopping at the gas station. Unless we absolutely have to. A bit of a twist. Pray your women are not pregnant at that time of... Okay, well, make sure you go pee before you get in the car or get on this roller coaster. And see you there.